Welcome to the Starting Over Podcast. I am your host, Edward Shelton, aka Dark Logos. And this is where we look at the strategies, tactics, and mechanics behind the game of heroclix. It's late, and this is the second time of me recording this show. It is amazing when you put in work, and people say like, "Yo, I enjoy what you do," and you listen to something that you put out, and then you're like, "This is crap." Let me rephrase it: not this is crap. It's not your best, and even though you can put out something that's doable, that you come back and like, "Nah, I can't put that out there." So this is take two for you all. Even though it technically is take one for you all, take two for me. So bear with me. If I sound like I am jumping all around, I'm going to try to focus it back in. Okay. But it's just like the things in my head that I previously had said, and I heard myself say. I might get a little bit out of order, but hopefully I don't. All right. It's dark as night because it is night when I'm recording this in Kansas City, and I'm going into a interesting tournament this weekend, and I am going to play around with some of that Iron Man 3 movie stuff. Uh, I will tell you this. End up talking with Silent Scream and a couple other people. Here's some new shenanigans for you people. You get that stealth suit Iron Man. Yeah, that one that can only be targeted within 4 squares. I think it's like Mark 15. Iron Man Mark 15. Stealth armor. Any character that is not within 4 squares can't draw lines of fire to Iron Man Mark 15. Sorry, 15. When he has one or more action tokens, Iron Man Mark 15 can use combat reflexes. Gotta love that. Um, here's the thing. Put the Infinity Gauntlet on him and just run him around. That's all you got to do. They can't target you. And the interesting thing with Pulse Wave is that it draws line of fire. I think it draws line of fire before it targets, at least in the current pack. So they can't Pulse Wave you either. So run around and see what you can do. Now, again, hey, if I'm wrong on the current ruling on Pulse Wave, yeah, cool, whatever. But still, being able to just say, "Yo, man, you can't shoot me," and if you did want to shoot me, you're stuck. Oh, you didn't put any melee in your team. Oh, that's fine. I'm just gonna be spinning this gauntlet, and if he just gets +1 stats, he's automatically awesome. Because then you're just like, yeah, you know that energy shield deflection. You know that region I have. There's a lot of cool stuff. The sensory deprivation globe, when Iron Man can Mark 15 attack total is at least 2 greater than his target's defense value. That character can't draw line of fire beyond 2 squares until your next turn. So he only has one target, and yes, he does have to target someone, but pretty much, even if I would say this, even if you're in a situation where it would only like lock down one figure, it's still pretty hilarious. I mean, not lock down one figure, or the threat of locking down a figure. It's hilarious. Anyway, today's topic is how does tech live? How does tech fade? And how does tech die? And I want you to get that in you. Because I know folks will send me stuff that's like, "Dude, Dark Logos, this is good tech. Check this out. Hey man, have you thought about this? Have you thought about how I use the invisible jet to drop this guy here and then I just obliterate their team and barrier and all this other cool stuff?" Because I get some really cool emails, and sometimes I'm like, I don't know what points that we would do this at, but let's play around and find out. And so what I really want us to look at is something really fundamental: is why does tech continue? Or better yet, why is it that some things just go on forever? It seems like that everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, it's amazing," and other things just fade away that were really good. So let's get into it. Why does tech live? In all honesty, tech lives for because of one specific reason: advice. Advice. You listen to this show for my advice. You've tested my advice, and then you're like, boom, this cat knows what he's talking about. Three extremist brutes, completely broken. Those things should be unique with heat tokens. From cop car to using of resource dials to combination A figure, combination B figure. You trust someone's advice, and that's the beginning of all tech. Either you're sitting there and you're like, man, I'm going to do this, and this other thing. You go and play that, and then everybody in your play group's like, oh my gosh, did you see his team? It did this and this and this. It was completely broken. And then they will catch on and do it. So you might say, well, Dark Logos, you just described a situation where someone saw what I did and then mimicked it. Yeah, that's still advice. That is still advice. Um, and the one thing I want you to understand is uh, there is no survival of the fittest when it comes to advice. Okay, I end up talking with a friend of mine, and I end up letting him know it's amazing if we are selfish creatures, how much unselfishness we have in us that we're able to have the strong die for the weak. And it's sort of a similar principle that can also be applied to heroclix and also an inverse principle. Good tech can live because it's good, okay? But it can also fade away due to social structures, due to well, let me. I'm not even going to get into that yet, to the fade away. But good tech can be good just basically because it's good, and it'll live. Bad tech can also live because of social structures. We hate guys that play hypersonic speed, and we hate guys that play running shot pulse wave, and we hate guys that play the Affinity Gauntlet. We hate guys pacing No Man's Land. So you get shamed out of your tech. Okay. Then there comes in the I hate to call it this, but the only thing I can think of is the cult leader effect. And then taking some of the way of the religious implications. Just take that baggage out, and just saying some people that just mindlessly follow advice and don't know why it works and how to use it. And that's the one big thing that I try to do is explain to you how things work and why to use it. But sometimes people will say, this is how it works, and this is how you use it, and this is why it's great, and it's bad. For example, and I do call out Clickscast a lot. I just don't like Steve on some of the things he said in the past, and it still rubs me. But there was a time when Steve and Gouda were talking about some figure, and then I know, yes, Jeremiah's on there. Like Jeremiah, he's great. That's why I tune in sometimes to Clickscast. But what ends up happening is you end up in a situation where I was listening and I said, did he just advise that people play X figure and Y figure? And I'm like, okay, this doesn't make any sense to me. So I go look at the rules, any clarifications on the rules on them. I go and try to play around with that combo in my head. I try to even look at a couple of maps. I'm like, oh, what? No, this doesn't work. Okay. And so what happens? I go and look at the comments and I'm thinking like, maybe I'm not omnipotent. Maybe someone caught on to something that I didn't see. And lo and behold, everyone's like, yeah, that's a great idea. And they're just backslapping them. And it's so hard to the backslapping. You almost think that he has a concave dent in his back, and then it made me realize, oh crap, these folks are hero worshiping, and they're just following what he says is good, regardless of what it really means. So there's a problem there. There's a legitimate problem. Is you have people that are not really taking into account of what the tech does, approving it because he's in their faction, the casual player, super casual player, the defender of the casual player is Clixcast, the defender of the everyman, whatever they have in their mind. And so then it's like, oh, if he's a defender of the everyman, he can't be wrong. And then you're stuck like, oh my gosh, people, why? Okay. And you can, and people will follow really bad advice. At the same end, you can have Gen Con. I love Gen Con. And this is me being really honest. I love the speculation up to Gen Con. I love finding out the matches. I love finding, oh, there's a YouTube of the match and watching the match. I love last year, like, getting feedback from other players that are there and just be like, oh gosh, I gobble up Gen Con. I love the activity. What I hate about Gen Con is people will see Gen Con and say, blah, blah, blah won Gen Con, blah, blah, blah was top 8, blah, blah, blah is functional, I'm going to do blah, blah, blah because the best players in heroclix do blah, blah, blah. That's not true. Within the best of their design, within the best of their understanding, and within the best of their play sphere, and the best of their own mental understanding of themselves, those are the best teams that they ran that they could run. Then you stack that against dice and pairings. That's a lot of elements. Not everybody is George Masu, who's able to practice a team for 6 months before Gen Con. And say like, oh yeah, I can handle that. I practiced against that. I practiced against that. I practiced against that. I practiced against that. This is going to be a tough match, but I know what my timings need to be. Not everybody is like that. Okay? And if you are one of those people, more power to you. But what'll happen is folks will say, look, he just killed 1,000 armies with that sword. I need to get that sword because it allows me to kill 1,000 armies. And that is not true. That is so not true. There is tech that I have built for myself that works, that is really strong, that is highly complicated, and nobody else can run the team. Nobody else can run a team because I have contingency upon contingency upon contingency upon contingency. Okay, but why does that tech live? Because Dark Logos does it. Still bad. You can't do it. I will never tell people to run teams that are beyond them or underneath them or to the side of them. Play at your level. If you can play super high tech, play super high tech. If you can play moderate tech, don't be ashamed that you play moderate tech. And if you play low tech and you're a beginner or you're still struggling with the game, don't be ashamed of that. Just know you need to grow and that these are the things that you're working on. Get a firm grasp of who you are as a player and your fundamentals and how you feel about pieces and how your feelings and your interactions deal with those around you. You're good. You're able to establish good tech. Okay, you can get my advice. You can listen to Push the Region. If you want creativity on teams, and I really want to see it come back, like the Common Justice and really $3 theme teams, I gotta say, like that was some good stuff. But even going to Common Justice, those cats give you inexpensive creative ideas. The fact that Femazons was able to take on as many teams as it had. You would never hear me talk about Femazons. But then after they said something, I was like, yeah, Lyra is pretty awesome. But here, if I take this Lyra and I put her with this utility belt, check out this bad, awesome tech. So if you look at the blog post, okay, and again, we're going to go into healthy living in tech and why is tech live. And this is shout outs to Push to Regen because those are my bros over there. Okay. When I came to the conclusion that Lyra was viable for meta, I sort of established a long time ago. The question was how you were going to do it. I listened to the Femazons podcast on common justice. And I thought, yeah, okay, whatever. Okay. When I was starting to look at tech on how to take down the cop car and I saw Lyra, I was like, I liked her. I remember her from the Push to Regen podcast. What can I play with? Boom, 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 boom. Okay, here we go. And a conversation with Alex Avila and a little bit of other stuff later. Here's this tech that I'm presenting. Okay, and I test out the tech in the tournament and it kicked butt. All right, so you can see with a healthy ecosphere that good tech can be developed off of advice and mindsets from various players, and it can come in, and when it's in that crucible of self, I do mean crucible of self, and you mull over it and you grind it down and you get that pestle, whatever the heck it's called, that grinding thing. I think it's called a pestle. I don't even know. And you pound at it and you're looking at it. It's not quite dust yet, and you grind on it some more, and then bam, you end up with something awesome. Okay. Or you end up with something crappy. It just depends. Or the worst case scenario of bad tech. Of tech living and going into that fade away is that you get something. It's moderate right now, and you think it will always be moderate, and then you forget about it, and that's a problem. And so you will have people say tent poles are the brokenest thing ever, and tent poles are not in the meta, but they can be very strong in certain elements. Now note the difference between strong and broken. Strong, I can compete. Broken, this is unstoppable unless I have very specific counters. Okay. Extremist brutes, very, very strong with heat tokens. Broken, they have energy shield deflection and can't be targeted. They can't be targeted from melee. That's broken. Okay. And 19D. Okay. Strong. A 4-man team composite in a 300-point game with a primary attacker, a secondary attacker, a pure support, and a support that can sort of pot shot. Broken. 3 Dark Phoenixes. I know that's not legal, but if it was 3 Dark Phoenixes, okay, how am I going to stop that? Get lucky, So, understand you can end up with something, and its day in the sun is just not today. It's just not today. All right, moving on. Why does tech fade? Tech fades for several reasons, and I try to address this in the show. And you always hear me say the new shiny. The new shiny is the biggest distraction and causes the most amount of fading of tech. Because people will say, the new set's out. This is there. This is awesome. I'm going to play with my new toys. Okay. And a lot of folks look at heroclix as, I'm going to play with my new toys in their team construction. And they don't necessarily look at it as I am a general manager of the largest football team, basketball team, baseball team of all humanity. And I need to put out a solid team for this upcoming event or practice game or for this scrimmage. Okay? If you look at it like that, there would be no reason for tech to fade. Okay? But the new shiny says, "Hey man, we got a new Spider-Man. Hey man, we got a new Superman. Hey man, check this out. You see these team dials? They're a little bit broken. Come on man, you need to go play that. I'll give you a cookie." Okay. And then we are all like, "Yeah, I love cookies. Cookies are great." And we go over and we play all the new tech and we play with our friends and we say, "Oh man, this is awesome. Ah, this is great." Okay. And then what happens? After a while, we find there's things that are frustrating. I don't like the fact that Super Duper Man has impervious, and then on a roll of a 2 through 6 that he can, ignore damage. I don't like the fact that Super Duper Spider Man can avoid all of my attacks, no matter what it is, on a roll of 2 through 6. And again, I'm making this up. Okay. And we're like, man, there's nothing I can do to stop that, because we focus on the new shiny. We forget all the other poison guys and exploit weakness guys and the, oh my gosh, you can't use this power guys, because those guys were from 3 sets ago and they're dirty and poor people, and we don't like dirty and poor people around us, and they smell. And I know that's extreme, but literally how the common person views the homeless, and I am being serious, a little bit of social consciousness here, is the same way that people in heroclix look at tech. Now, you do have older players who will be like, "Hey man, I see you're on tough times. I'm going to give you this dollar. I need you to come over to my house and clean some stuff." And then once in a blue moon, they're like, okay, they get to the house and it's like, "Hey tech, I saw you were down in your luck. The dollar was to get you here. I'm going to clean you up. I'm going to give you a bath. I'm going to shave you. And then I'm going to take you out to a party with all my rich friends. And I'm going to show them what an awesome person you are." And that is when we ruffle stomp people. And then there's some of y'all that are like, "Heck yeah." Okay. Because you're older players and you realize that. And then for some of you newer players, you haven't had that moment yet where that thing that was good right when you started playing, and then something came in that was a little bit better or made what you like doing really hard to do, and then the meta shifted again, and people forgot about that cool thing, and then all of a sudden you have that moment of epiphany, and it's like, booyah, that's what I need right there. I remember those days. Tweak this, tweak that, tweak this new support guy in there, and ruffle stop my whole entire venue. Okay. Or at least put them on notice that, you go ahead, keep playing that new jazz. Every week I will just annoy the fire out of you. And you can be that guy. Okay. So the one reason why tech phase is the new shiny. That's the number one. The next is it's no longer easy. It's no longer easy. Green Lantern Tank, and this is a excellent example. Green Lantern Tank was a creation of utter absurdity for its time, because you could functionally and mobily protect your main attacker while they dish out insane levels of damage. And it definitely, let's in putting it in perspective, even though older heroclix, there were a lot of characters that were, 4 clicks deep or 6 clicks deep with some damage reduction, for the pure fact that with a 3 damage and a ranged combat expert and 3 enhancements, that you could, with a Green Lantern, run around and get your attack raised 3 times due to PD and shield. Because again, back in the day, it raised attack value, didn't lower defense. And then just be like, "Yeah, man, outwit you and range combat expert. Take 6. Yeah, sorry about that." There's no figure even now that's just like, I take 6 and I take it with a smile, and I'm up there like, "Thanks, you made me like perfect. I'm on my best click. No, though you slagged teams badly. And if you had multiple targets, I take that back. I don't think you could use multiple targets with it. Um, but I could be wrong. But trick shot Green Lantern tanks was text that was ridiculously strong. Okay, fast forward, feats are no longer allowed in modern age. So what happens? Everybody forgets about it. Lamp armor piercing is removed from modern age, and everyone forgets about it. Okay, then comes that golden age game, and feats are allowed. Hmm. I can use resource dials too. Oh, Hal Jordan of Earth, we have need of you. Kyle Rayner of Earth, we have need of you. You know, unfortunately, they never gave that freaking broke combo to John Stewart. Gosh! Ah! Can't running shot range combat expert. Ah! John Stewart, you were robbed. You can sit there and pop shot people, but you can't run a shot. So, but you know, if you want to, John Stewart of Earth, come break off your foot in these fools' mouths. You know, you can come back and do some really cool stuff, but again, it fades. It's still doable, but it's really rare. It's not in your mind. The next thing is well, let me start with the element of difficulty. And I'm sorry, I was about to jump a little bit. Try imitating a Green Lantern tank without feats. Just try to think of it. You can't. You just can't. And that's the frustrating thing. You can say like, oh look, well I got Dark Logos. I got like 3 guys. I get them into this formation, right? And then I hypersonic speed into there, and then I hypersonic speed back behind the 3 guys. About as close as you're going to get. Hypersonic speed transporter. That's the when it comes to the full element of the offensive and defensive capability, you can't, and so the tech fades. And if you try to play musical moving support figures, then you know you're going to have a problem. Another element of sort of looking at, oh man, this just isn't as easy as it was. I hate using him as an example because he's still really, really good in my opinion. And he surprises people, and definitely in the new meta, is Vet Icon Superman. Initially, his tech was so easy that for you not to run it was a problem. Like you had to build too much stuff to shut him down. And even with that Brainiac from Icons, like the Brainiac from Icons was like a counterplay if you really knew what you were doing. Like you needed 3 TKers and the old school maps. But I digress. Try creating something like Icon Superman with Pit Crew. Just can't. Not in modern age. And then if you did try to do it in modern age and brought that same pit crew in the current rules, he could sort of do some okay stuff, but he's just going to get outwitted and psychic blasted and getting his attack, you know, lowered down to a 9, or he's going to end up being in can't break away hell with the cop car. Okay, and a lot of people didn't think about that. Like, oh yeah, the cop car would nerf Icon Superman really, really bad. Yeah, and then I know there's somebody's like, well, the Superman could take 3 shots on the cop car and it would be dead, and then it could take a shot on the cop car and that's it. Okay, without an Infinity Gauntlet, Superman can't push. Okay, Superman is going to still take that damage from the cop car. He's still going to be put in position next to the cop car. He can't break away, and he's in, and I can move Superman so that he's in full view of my team. The tech doesn't work. Let me rephrase that. The tech still works on principle, but the effectiveness doesn't work because the pit crew just isn't as effective as it once was. Now, go into new rules pack, for sure old pit crew is not as good. Your outwit is on its base range. So all your old school Black Panther, rookie Black Panthers. No, you're not running that. Yeah, that sucker's going to get smoked. And with as much as anti-stealth is out there, oh yeah, he's dead. Okay, con artist. That chick ain't walking nowhere. Okay, and I hate to break out the improper English like that so bad, but con artist movement is crap. And it's crap for the pure fact it was designed around the element of perplex being a 10 range. It was never ever meant to be running around the map. Okay? It's gone. It's dead. Okay? Even worse. Destiny. Rookie Destiny. That it's a free move, but she hobbles around and for real and you can't push her. Okay? So when it comes down to the basic functioning, can that team work? Yes. Does it work as grand as it did in the past? No. And even if you want to try boil it down to its basic mechanics, 1-man team plus pit crew, it's tough. It's really, really is tough. And yeah, Madam Xanadu is there to try to help encourage 1-man teams, but even when you hear me talk about Master Mold, okay, you see that, yeah, Master Mold might front my whole team, which was on multiple occasions. Oh my gosh, Master Mold, I love you. I love you so much. Bromance right there. We're best friends. But at the same time, I'm honest. I'm honest with Master Mo, is, the tech is limited and he's on a timer because when the new rules come out, he's not as good because of multi-attack. The changes to multi-attack, and now I have to reinvest how I deal with Master Mold. But if you have that 1-man team and that 1-man team misses that crucial attack, you are in trouble. Because the other team that built a balanced team, a swarm team, a rush down team, a spin my dial until I'm godhood team, turtle team, you sort of get where I'm going. All of a sudden they have the initiative and you've lost so much ground and you're not able to recover. Definitely when they made that big change to support, and a lot of people don't remember this, when they said -2 to dice roll, minimum 1. And the same to regen, -2. No, I think regen's always been like that, I think. But I could be wrong. I don't remember like Infinity Challenge regen. But with regen, they made it so it's like -2, no minimum. That really hurt. That really hurt. So the classic pit crew, that tech is gone, and I pray WizKids doesn't get that, hey, remember kids when you could, bug up their butt again like they did with Night Nurse and Gleek, and there was some other cheap outwit and prop they put out that they shouldn't have put out. I hope they never get that bug up their butt again, but that makes money. Anyway, so we can see, why does tech fade? Just doing it like we did back in the day becomes hard. And the next element of why tech fades is sort of piggybacks on why tech lives. Tech fades mainly because people no longer talk about it. And I'm going to give you a real life example of mine. When I was in undergrad, I was the editor-in-chief of the newspaper. And during my junior year, actually senior year, I was editor in chief. Junior year, they made a statement for the dorms that all of the dorms were going to have pay for laundry. And you got to understand, one of the main reasons that I went to the school, other than half tuition on scholarship, was that it was free laundry. You know, when you go through freshman and sophomore year and never having to pay for laundry, the only thing that you have to pay for is just dishwashing detergent. I mean, not dishwashing detergent. Is laundry soap. It's amazing because you save tons of money. You can look fly. You can go out there, talk to the ladies on campus, and you don't smell like a sack of crap. Okay. Um, but when you gotta pay, you gotta make a decision. Do you go and get that pizza, or do you make your laundry, or do your clothes smell good, or do you bum some laundry detergent from your friend, or steal it from the person that left their laundry bottle there? Just saying. Anyway, but my junior year, we fought it. It was inevitable. It was going to change. It was there so that the campus could be more profitable and blah blah blah, this that and the other. Anyway. So my senior year, I editor in chief of newspaper, and I wrote in the paper. I said, it's a sad day that most of you all don't know that laundry on this campus was once free, that you were able to know that that was going to be something that wasn't going to be in your cost. And, you know, tuition used to be locked, and it's not anymore. And I listed off these several laundry laundry list of things that was going to change that changed, my senior year, and that was going to change the year after I graduated. And I said at the end, what's even more sad is I don't know what I missed out on. I don't know what was free or available that was a support system that's no longer there. And that's the same thing. When tech fades, I've said this several times on the show, and definitely some of the earlier shows. And if you go back and listen to the 50th episode, you'll hear this. The main reason this show exists, it's like because the great thinkers left. If you ever read fairy tale manga, it's like the dragons disappeared, or in a lot of the epic storylines, or Mass Effect, the Protheans disappeared. The the great constructors and analyzers all of a sudden just poofed, gone. And everyone's like, hold up, wait, I need help. Where's the Golden City? Oh crap, the Golden City's on fire. Oh shoot. Okay, the fires go out. The Golden City, the people walk through, and they push the buttons, and the buttons don't work right, and the magical levitating food distributor is on the ground, and then occasionally it farts out a toxic gas because there's rotten food inside. The super flight no pods don't levitate anymore, but they're comfortable to sit on top of or hide in during cold days. And you're left looking at this obelisk of death that was once this vibrant city. Okay? And so people lived there over the years and generations, and no one knows why the ancients left, but they sure did leave us some cool stuff, and we are content living in the husk of what's left. And that's tech. And that's why tech fades. You could say you're living in the hobble of what's left, but you don't know that if you put Radeon element 52 inside the Foodamatron, that you have infinite food. If you were able to push these buttons in this sequence, that huge building that you were in would generate enough energy for you for a lifetime. You don't know that if you put this specific juice of a berry inside of that hovering pod, that you could fly anywhere on the planet. And so my job with this show is to sort of say like, hey, let's get the Golden City we back again. We might not be able to get it to all its glory, but at least we can get it functioning. Okay. Um, Without elders, without leadership, without wisdom, tech dies. I mean, tech fades. Tech fades. And eventually there's no one that remembers how to do it. And yes, there are those crazy elders like remember when, and half of their tales are full of shenanigans and part truths. You got to sort of watch out for them. Them are the crazy old coots. Okay. But you not having leadership and having it be this mockery, and this demonizing that goes on in heroclix has really caused problems. And even more so, I would say, as much as I love how Seth depowered the game, and he was the guy that led us into special powers. There were some times where I wish I could, if I was able to meet him in real life, and I say this figuratively, I wish I could smack him and say, do you really, what went through your head when you designed this? It wasn't a threat at the time. Yeah. And you didn't think about a long game. And I really sometimes just want to like, dude, really? Come on, man. But there's what happens is if you don't have elders that are able to say this is broken, this is ridiculously strong, you end up with game mechanics that continually be ridiculously strong until what I like to call the rise of Attila the Hun happens, or for some of you fantasy lovers, when the freaking Troll King attacks, that intelligent troll. Not the I am under the bridge and I eat your bones troll. It's no like I studied the art of war troll and I don't give a darn about your civilization. I want that water. Okay. The trolls, the Troll King will emerge and he will say, I don't care about your feelings. I don't care about your meta. I don't care about 15 other different things that you all have been stupidly focusing on. I'm going to do this, play that figure, abuse that rule, that rule. You can't stop me, and I'm going to roll through your tournament. I'm going to take your Batcave. I'm going to take your Thanos. I'm going to take your Fing Fang Foom. I'm going to take your Starro. I'm going to take your Galactus. I'm going to take all your good stuff. I has all the cheeseburgers, okay, for internet meme. Okay, and then when the Grand Troll comes in, that's when everybody wakes up and it's like I got to learn meta because I got to defend myself. So it without elders, without leadership, all that stuff fades, and we're stuck living in the husk of a golden city that at one point in time was vibrant and alive. That's now under siege by invading hordes. And I mean, and even sort of emphasizes a little bit more. Game design goes to Gen Con and watches what goes on at Gen Con. And they do make changes based on what went on at Gen Con. And if let's just imagine for a second that there was nothing but crappy teams at Gen Con. I know it's not possible. But let's just imagine that it was nothing but crappy teams at Gen Con. The rules arbiters will take note because I mean you heard Normal View on the show that he play test stuff, and they're able to look at stuff. The play testers will note Oh wow, this is what the player base moved toward. The designers are going to note it, and then they're going to make adjustments. And if bad teams showed up at Gen Con 2 years in a row, just saying, even more improbable. Okay, imagine how bad the tilt would be for the rules. Okay, things that are not overpowered would get nerfed. Things that are way overpowered are ignored or might even be buffed because they're not used. Certain elements that interacted with each other no longer interact with each other. So that's that's why we need a competitive sphere to make sure that the rules stay interactive. Because of the competitive sphere, we've seen a buff to just about every underused power. Because the competitive people said there's no reason for me to play that or ever think about playing it. Now it's taken them a long time. Like Battle Fury's gone through a couple of buffs. Incapacitate has gone through many iterations. Energy Explosion was awesome, then nerfed, then awesome again, and yeah, and then it got nerfed, and now it's awesome again. Okay, there's so many different powers out there that are standard powers that at one point in time were really weak are now really strong, and things that are real that were dominantly strong have been nerfed down. Hypersonic speed has been nerfed to, in my recollection, at least 3 times. The first time was changing of the static attack, because you used to be able to stand in one place and hit multiple times and deal like 1 damage, then all the damage would be dealt at once. But you would have like your attack values would keep going down by 1 to the rule of 3, but you were able to do like 3 or 4 crazy attacks as long as you're able to do them like successively. They nerfed that. They nerfed the range, the half range on it because of Icon Superman. They did something else to it. They made it a power action and no longer a move action because of Quicksilver. It used to be a move action. That was it. But Quicksilver from Armor Wars was breaking that. Oh my gosh, that was broken. He just went wherever he wanted, and you pretty much got a free attack a turn with him. That was broken. So if without good players, without solid insight, broken stuff just lasts longer than what it should. Okay, so I've said about too much about why tech fades. Let's go into why tech dies as we wrap this up. And you can sort of hear it in my voice. It's like, Dark Logos, you need water, and I'm pulling it out right now. I don't know if you can hear that. That's a little bit of water. We'll take a brief gulp. So hit pause. Go get yourself a nice beverage and come back with me in a second. Okay. All right, we're back. Why does tech die? Now, note, it fading is one thing because then it's like we're in the Golden City and we don't know how this sucker works, so we're just not going to do it. Okay, that's one thing. But when does it really die? And I would say when you get to that point in which no one knows how anything works, period. At no point in time does anybody know how does the food matron work, let alone how we get radium 15. Okay, that's when tech starts to die. And does the new shiny help? Yeah, it helps lead to some stuff dying, because if there's something that comes out and it's just like you can never ever 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 consider doing this again, ever, because this character is in the meta for the next 2 years, then yeah, that's going to have an impact. Um, not only that, rules changes, and you sort of got a glimpse of that within the element of why does tech fade. Um, but rules changes messes with stuff so bad. And for example, There was a time with energy explosion that you were able to use enhancement to increase the damage of energy explosion, thus making like vet havoc really broken because he had energy explosion top dial two targets. So with three human, he could do 4 damage to 2 targets plus splash. Okay, so you would see one guy with energy explosion and in a formation, and another guy who might have energy explosion in a formation being very questionable about getting into position. So they're both in a very tough position because one energy explosion on either of their figures means GG. Like you can't do anything. Your offense just got cut in half. Uh, but then what happened? Rules nerfed. Nerfed the fire out of that. Literally nerfed the fire out of that. Enhancement was no longer affected energy explosion, but shield team ability, the way that it was worded at the time, did. So you could now note this isn't the I get +1 range shield. This is just I get +1 damage shield. Okay, so I want people to make sure you understand that. So pretty much what ended up happening was people were using like a bunch of the cheap shield troopers and stuff like that to up their energy exploders damage. So you had Vet Wildfire from Icons just come through, just like I copied Green Lantern. Now you gotta understand that was tough in 300. Let alone, I don't think it was possible most times. You mainly saw in like 400 to 600 point games. But you would see Vet Icons Wildfire copy Green Lantern team ability. And you might spend a perplex or two on range, but you mostly did it on attack. But he was ridiculously strong on his own for that era. And then you had to have leadership. You had to have leadership. So you roll like your 2 leaderships or whatever, and then hopefully you got one because you need to spend 3 power actions plus an attack so that you could just nuke down your opponent's team. And trust me, it worked. It worked really good. Oh gosh. I still have flashbacks of, oh gosh, I had a really good flashback. I had a Vet Wildfire, 2 shield guys. I perplexed up my attack in my range because he parked specifically one outside of my range. And he forgot that I could perplex up my range. I perplexed up my range, dual targeted so that the splash overlapped on his main guy. Oh, and I dealt the dude like 6 damage. It was ridiculous. It was, oh gosh, that was beautiful. But you can see that that's ridiculously strong. So rules said no, we can't do that anymore. So then it's dead. Okay, you can't do it anymore. And then also think about this is something maybe 6 years ago. So how many people remember that? Now, lo and behold, here comes Bruce Banner. We found Radium 22. It's not as good as Radium 15, but yeah, all right. He says we can increase the damage of energy explosion. What does everybody do when they look at him? Oh man, that's nothing. Man, energy explosion? Ah, whatever. I'd rather just running shot you for this much damage, blah 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 blah. Okay. Now, we take another step and it's like in comes Starfire. Oh, all my energy explosion damage is penetrating. Okay, so we got the hover food matron. It's hovering, and the food isn't that good. It's okay. It's edible. It's not toxic. It's not putting out those nasty farts. Okay. Then comes the rules change. Boom. I got something that's like a home cooked meal, not necessarily creme brulee, not necessarily super bougie food, but it's edible. Okay. Um, so does energy explosion? Did energy explosion die? Yes. Did it? Was it resurrected? In a okay form. Can it do something similar to its past? Close, but not quite. All right. So another example of a reason why tech dies outside of the oh look the hard counter is there is something innately with the tech that makes it so obscure, either in power usage or wording or just popularity. I hate to say that. Popularity obscures a lot of good characters. No one likes certain characters just because they're not Spider-Man, Superman, Hulk, Wonder Woman, and Batman. Um, but that obscurity of the character, the obscurity of the wording, and the one instance in which is completely broken doesn't seem viable to the mind. That's when something just dies straight up. It dies almost in the cradle. And it's not like someone comes and stabs the baby, but it's more like no one thinks to go check out the room with the crying and the wah 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 coming out of it, and eventually it stops. So no one thinks about that room anymore. That's that's what it's like. Uh, a prime example of that. Oh gosh, part of me wants to say Cyborg because I'm looking at him. Um, but that's just me being a little. That's just me being me. Uh, a prime example of that. Dang it! It was. I know there was. What was that character? It was Avengers. Mass something, dude. Uh, he like could rewrite reality and stuff in the comics. I know this is bad. Like there's like 50 of those guys. Like yeah. Uh, he had like some specific weirdness. That Molecule Man. Oh, okay, yes, okay. Molecule Man. Here you go. Molecular destruction. Once per turn, as a free action, Molecule Man can choose one of the following options: remove any target object, including an object carried by a character, from the game. Destroy a target square of blocking terrain. Destroy a portion of a target wall bordering a single square. Um, for all options, the target must be 6 or fewer squares away from Molecule Man, and he must have a clear line of fire. Okay, why was he an example of tech that just died? There for a lot of the early maps, like once you got past the map reformatting that happened in Armor Wars, um, there weren't a lot of maps with a bunch of walls. That was just a problem, and there wasn't just a lot of ton of obstructing blocking terrain. I take that back. The Armor Wars map and the Sinister map, those two in particular. What really made him sort of die in the grave was A, no one knew who Molecule Man was. B, he had barrier, not energy shield deflection. Starting off, even though he had a 10 attack, 4 damage, 113 points, and Psychic Blast. C, the molecular destruction was something that was useful, but it wasn't something that jumped to your mind. But in like I would say in the meta now, automatically like just to say remove any target object, destroy a target square of blocking terrain, destroy a portion of a target wall bordering a single square. He does all this with 2 damage. So just be able to say this. Okay, I am carrying an object, ultra heavy. He's able to say, no, that's gone. For then he's able to say, hey, you see that you put up that blocking terrain over there? Yeah, I have 2 damage. Whatever, it's gone. Um, he also just saying like destroy a portion of a target wall bordering a single square. Um, technically, he can just say, yeah, it's on the edge of my range of doing this. But yeah, that's gone. Um, it's like, oh, that single square right there is on the edge. That six. Yeah, that's gone. That wall's gone. As long as he had line of fire. So he had some really, really solid options. His defense went up and peaked at a 19, and he had a 12 attack, but he only had 2 of damage in this power, and he had 2 targets. Um, why did he disappear? Freaking Iron Widow. Go look up Iron Widow, people. If you've never had to play against Iron Widow, be glad. Shake your friend's hand. Thank you know just thank your local venue for that you came in at the time you did. Because for 5 more points, Iron Widow came in and just laughed over people's teams. Oh yeah, ultimates. Oh yeah, running shot, 10 attack, 3 damage when it was actually something. Oh, I got invulnerability. And oh yeah, I get off of that. I got ranged combat expert with 3 damage. Yeah. In an 8 range. Yeah, that's pretty good. Oh, guess what? I get mastermind because Tony's my boyfriend, and I get outwit. And when things get really tough, and if you don't kill me just right, I'm stealth, and I have mastermind. Yeah, and a 10 attack and psychic blast. And did I forget to tell you I'm ultimates? Yeah. So that was the big deal, and she got overshadowed by easier tech. So the Molecule Man tech just died. Was it good? Yeah, but it just died. Same with Living Laser tech. Um, Go look at Living Laser. 91 points, less than a lot of your major attackers today. 9 attack, 19 defense, 3 damage, range combat expert. He was on some scientist teams until people realized there were way better scientists that you could put on your team. Yeah, I mean, he was on like those first generation scientist teams. And that's before like all the keywords were filled out for the older sets. But when the keywords came out for the older sets, he died so fast. And then, I mean, on top of that, you're looking at Origins, Rookie Shazam still being broken. Like, he's just broken. So I don't even have to say any more than that. But you end up. I hope you sort of see my point. Is you have good powers, and it's like this obscure thing, and all of a sudden, no one thinks about it anymore. Um, and it's frustrating. So I'm going to make something up, and you're going to probably be like, this is awesome power. Let's say there's a character that comes out, and he has a power called glass ceiling. When characters would promote, uh, they receive -2 to their die roll. Okay, let's call him General Douchebag. Okay, General Douchebag has glass ceiling. Okay, so glass ceiling's in effect. Who does that shut down? My new Tony Stark friend, he doesn't like that too much. Dark Phoenix, no, not Dark Phoenix, Marvel Girl. It's like I worked so hard to get here. Definitely Marvel Girl. She cries. Lex Luthor is like, I can't buy my way out of this. Would a character like that kill promotions? Pretty much. It would mean that those characters would have to work so much harder to power up to get to their promotions that anyone noticing what they're doing is just going to kill that figure. And because those characters have specific objectives, and in particular they have to do damage, and they only can get 1 token per turn, they're screwed. So then they have to invent something that defeats glass ceiling. But that one character, whether it's while it's in modern age, is going to kill the tech. So I hope that all sort of like makes sense in your head. Definitely with the, I sort of went back to saying like silver bullets. But what happens is once that tech is dead for that period, no one ever thinks about it again because they're going to say, "Oh, it's a golden age game. Oh, remember when that Wonder Woman was good? Oh, remember when Blue Beetle was awesome? He could do this, that, and the end. Yeah, he could promote. Oh, yeah, but yeah, then there was General Douchebag, and he ruined all that. So there's no reason to play that again because someone's going to play General Douchebag, or there's a chance someone playing General Douchebag. Really? Maybe. I mean, unless something was really broke, most people aren't going to even think about General Douchebag. So uh, it dies because as long as it goes in their mind of, oh, this was the hard counter, someone can bring it up. It can never. I don't think I can ever bring it up because I'm afraid of the hard counter. Let alone, if you hit General Douchebag for 3 damage, he no longer has that power. Uh, that tech dies. So anyway, since I told you how tech lives, how tech fades, and how tech dies, and I'll come back and I'll sort of end this, and I think I've been hinting this. How do you pull a Lazarus on tech, and how do you bring it back fully? You need the rules to be there. B, you need to recognize what is the fundamental of the tech. Lamp's fundamental is you take one unavoidable damage per turn. You're not escaping it. You're taking one unavoidable damage per turn. I'm beating you on attrition. So if you're able to apply that function, and yes, also with Lamp is the guy doing it you can't do damage to. You're hitting the patsy. Okay, so if you apply that over time to various mechanics, you can say, oh, this character has whenever he takes damage, reduce it down. He takes a maximum 2 damage. Give an opponent one unavoidable damage. I'm making this up. So if I combine that with a medic and a transporter, and I put him in melee, I'm forcing my opponents to take one unavoidable damage. I can combine that with Cypher or that one Uhura or whoever it is from Star Trek, and then I can copy team abilities. So I'm going to copy Mystics if my opponent has Mystics. So when they hit me, they're going to take 2. Same principle of Lamp. I can then attack as on my own, and bam, you have a lot of the core principles. Okay, with the Green Lantern tank, you can say this. All right, do I have a character on my team that avoids other characters from line of fire purposes? And this is going to happen this is guaranteed to happen with improved targeting. They're going to give people built-in trick shot minus the ability to see through stealth. And so it's like, okay, if that's the case, then I'm going to combine this Hydra guy, that Hydra guy, this PD guy, and I'm going to have a cheap Green Lantern carry these characters around, or I'm going to have one taxi. My attacker is a flyer that can see around characters, and then I'm going to have one character. I'm going to alternate characters that are going to be walking, and then by proxy, I'm creating a Green Lantern tank. I'm creating the same principle of enhancement and stat modification while being able to shoot behind this cushy wall. So you have that as well. Defend Chain didn't die, just the characters that could use Defend and Chain high defense just moved out the meta. But I mean, if you go into Golden Age, Jakeem Thunder, my homie, I'm looking at my Jakeem Thunder right now. I still haven't put him up. I haven't played him in over a year. He's just sitting there looking at me like, man, when do I go back with my friends? But Jakeem Thunder defend a 19, and then says, hey, buddy, JSA. Even going farther back, back when you could do it, Alt Fantastic Four team ability in his previous incarnation, and that Invisible Woman with the 19. Yeah, I mean, old school values, that was already hard. And then you add in energy shield deflection. No one's hitting you unless they crit hit or at tons of prob and perplex. So you boil things down and you get the core essence of them. You take that core essence, and then we get that crucible and pestle, and we grind it down, and we grind it, and then we put it through our little alchemic studies, and we say, can I really do this now? And we make notes, and then we say, oh, element 52 is really good, but element 31 is not quite prime yet. I need another element to make this awesome. And so you write down your heroclix notebook. In experiment, blah, 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 blah. I play, blah, 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 blah. I notice, blah, 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 blah. This is what I extracted. Conclusion A, conclusion B, conclusion C. From these conclusions, conclusion A proves that this is strong. Conclusion B proves that this is weak. Conclusion C is indeterminative because I can see potential here, but the factors that make that potential viable are not in the meta or in older meta. Therefore, be on the lookout for this. And then just put a little star by it, or might make some little note in your heroclix notebook, some shorthand note when you tag stuff like that. Because I talk to myself all the time in my heroclix notebook and be like, I don't know about this. I think it's viable. Maybe if something comes along in the future. And lo and behold, every so often when I'm bored or I can't think of a team ability, I'll scroll through my Word document and I'll look for key terms like 300 points or certain characters' names or whatever. And then I'll scroll across some of my own old thoughts and my old advice. And I'm like, oh, yeah, haven't seen that in a while. That'll piss them off. Not going to lie. That goes through my head 9 times out of 10. Like, that'll piss them off. There's another word that I picked up from another podcast, but I won't say on mine. And so that's how you resurrect old tech. You have to boil it down to its essence, and then put it back together in a new form, and then take it out to that grand party and show your friends like, hey, look, y'all forgot about this? Yeah. Baller now. Baller. All right. Again, thanks a lot for everybody that's been listening. I know that this has been a very long show. I know some of y'all are like, yeah, 2-hour shows, do them again. I'm like, oh, I can't do 2-hour shows anymore. But definitely, if you want me to talk about anything, hit me up on the email, startingoverpodcast@gmail.com. That's startingoverpodcast@gmail.com. If you wish to opine, keep it interesting. Send me tech. We talk tech through email. Definitely if you want tech being private. No Man's Land month 6. Definitely let me know. Realms Open Championships. Please go and definitely go. And if you do go, tell Howard Brock on AC Realms that you heard it from my show, and let me know how it was. If you went to any of the previous Realms Open Championships, email me and tell me what happened. And you know what, man? I will freaking read your email, or I will put it on the blog, startingoverpodcast.blogspot.com. Blah, blah. Yeah, there you go. Shameless plugging. The blog has interesting stuff. As I'm recording this, I think I pretty much said, I skipped my Wednesday blog because I was working on this. I edited the previous version of the show, didn't think it was good enough, took it back, redid some thoughts, and bam, this is what you got. So sorry, blog. Normally I will have stuff up. Monday, Wednesday, weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Sometime during there, I'll put something up. Monday, Wednesday, a little bit more tech heavy. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, usually my musings of the weekend or just me ranting. It's still HeroClix focus and tech focus and mindset focus, but the weekend, sometimes it's a mixed bag. I'm not going to lie. Sometimes it's like, brilliant thoughts. Sometimes, oh my gosh, I hate Cape Crusader. So bad. So bad. But anyway. Also, if you want to subscribe, but you're better off hitting me up on Twitter at StartOverPod. Just for the pure fact that YouTube sucks when it comes to subscriptions. It doesn't show that I put up a new show. If you have more popular shows that you subscribe to, I mean popular channels. So if you subscribe to Oreo FL, Glass Cabinet Films, and myself, and those are all good podcasts. Definitely Glass Cabinet and Oreo FL on YouTube. You subscribe to those, and you know I like Rhett and Link, and there's a couple other I can't name right now because they're not for everybody. Um, and your gamer channel and your pie making channel and your how do I keep kids from acting crazy channel, all that stuff. Okay, if they're more popular than me, your front page is going to show all those new popular shows. You're not going to see anything that I've done. And you know why I know this is because Glass Cabinet put up like 3 videos that I didn't know about that didn't show up on my YouTube page. And I look at my YouTube page almost every day. And then I was just like, man, I haven't heard from Glass Cabinet in a while. Click 3 videos. Wow. Wasn't expecting that. So definitely hit me up on Twitter because what will happen is if you check your Twitter every day and you're like, hey, what's up? I like Twitter. I'd like putting things in short, compressed packages. Unlike this show, you'll notice that Twitter will update you and let you know from my Twitter account that I put up a new video. So then you just like, oh, Dark Logos put up a new video on YouTube. Click, I can watch. Oh, okay, cool. I don't advertise the blog post on Twitter because that's a little redundant. But you can definitely know if I have a new video, a mini video, and then sometimes you get my musings. And most of the time, shoot, I'm high-fiving Glass Cabinet Films or Push to Regen because they actually do stuff on Twitter. if you want to follow somebody on Twitter to actually see what they write and it's interesting, follow Push to Regen because they put up some of the most interesting stuff. If you want to follow somebody, know when their show is out, follow me. I will let you know. All conventional wisdom is safe for the blog because I'm too long-winded for Twitter. And also, interesting side note, it is proven that the average attention span is now equal to a Twitter post. So for all of you that are able to sit and pay attention to my show, let alone read a blog post of mine, I will say that I am freeing your mind and allowing you to actually pay attention and sit still. And if you listen to me on the go, then you have no choice but to sit still. Anyway, I hope this podcast really helps you out. And I know it's not but Dark Logos, the figures, how are they broken? And how can I make my enemies cry and make their women lament and bleed before me? Those shows are good. And they serve a purpose. But these shows are mainly so that I can add that sand into the cracks and grooves of your foundation, so that I'm able to steady it, get it solidified, put some more concrete in there, so that when you hear me talk in the future, you're like, he's applying that principle from that show and this other show, because that's really how I think. But don't worry, Teen Titans is coming out soon, and we should have a full set list of that in the next few weeks. So I'll be talking about that. There's a couple of votes for Alex to come back. Emails. Put up your votes. Scott Cram Company. Scott Cram Company. Alex Avila. Ignis Mouse. I don't know if I can still get a hold of Neo Shazam. I'll hunt him down. George Masu. Dan Moran. Alex Avila. Who do you want? Send the emails. Alex is so far in the lead for requests. He's a character. So anyway, that's it. Thank you for listening. I really do appreciate all of you all for hanging out with me. And remember, we all have to start over sometime.
I'm into comic books, figures on the wall. She's into looking good, Vicky C's got along. And she loves my flaws, yeah, she's not ashamed. I'm a Peter Parker, she's my Mary Jane. She's my Mary Jane, she's my Mary Jane. She's my Mary Jane, she's my Mary Jane. She's my Mary Jane, she's my Mary Jane. I'm a Peter Parker, she's my Mary Jane. I'm a big nerd around her, but she's cool around me. Never knew how she found me. Electric, but she grounds me. And she loves my flaws, she accepts them all. When the darkness comes, I will get the call. I will swing down the city.